There we go. It can't be I Love Cinema without tea, and now it's actually 8 p.m. Perfect timing. Oh, is that problematic with my glasses? I'm not sure. Okay. I've never really worn glasses before in a broadcast anyway, so yes, I usually wear glasses when I work on my computer. Hi, welcome to I Love Cinema, episode 8. And of course, we all know what day it is, just like with Avengers Day, today is Deadpool Day. So it's really, really exciting. Um, well, for a lot of people, because Deadpool obviously was really, I think, critically acclaimed. You could say it's like it was quite a success hit. I don't think anyone really thought it would be. Um, I have to say right from the get go that people start messaging me now. You know, I'm live. Um, I'm not really a fan of Deadpool 2. Sorry, of Deadpool. I wasn't a fan of Deadpool, so it will be interesting to see what I have to say about Deadpool 2, so stick around for that. Before I get into that, just to give you a rough overview of what I'll be talking about, in case you're wondering. So, of course, I'm going to be talking about Deadpool 2. The tweets should have gone out as well, detailing the kind of films I'm talking about today. The big one, of course, is Deadpool 2. How often can you say Deadpool 2 in 5 minutes? It's not even been 5 minutes, it's like a minute and a half or something. Um, if I have time, and hopefully I will have, but if you've watched the show before, you know that I can go quite out, like on a tangent and on a rant and whatever. Don't worry, there are no rants in here today. Soapbox image is not loaded, so don't worry about that. Um, but I want to talk about Deadpool 2, and if there is time, hopefully, I will be talking about Life of the Party, the new Melissa McCarthy film, and Book Club, well, you can't even say Diane Keaton film. Well, she's in it, but it stars Diane Keaton, Jane Fonda, Candice Bergen, and Mary Steenburgen. There was an unlimited screening on Monday. Yeah, it was Monday. It feels like it was like a week ago, but it was only a few days ago. So I will be talking about this if I have time. But first, as is now usual, I hope I want to talk a bit more about news and trailers. And yeah, I know it's warm, but I still have tea. And I know that my teacup always looks really manky. It's because I drink a lot of tea, so it's like tea stains. Yeah, but don't worry, it gets cleaned. Okay, so one of the things, there's not a lot of news and trailers stuff today. Obviously, last week was quite big. But today, one of the things that I've come across in the last few days is one that really piqued my interest, because it's about a film that I used to love when I was a kid. Well, I think I still love it. I've just not watched it in a while. And it's all about Willow. If you don't know what that is, check out Ron Howard's filmography or Val Kilmer's filmography or whatever you want. It's a really cutesy little film. Cutesy little film probably doesn't do it justice. I think it wasn't a big hit or anything, but I really loved that film when it came out in '88. It is a fantasy film that starred Val Kilmer, Warwick Davis, that you probably know from Star Wars. He played Wicket, the Ewok, and Joan Wally Kilmer. Well, back then it was Joan Wally, and then she married Val Kilmer because they were in a movie together. Um, and I really loved this film because it was a lot of fun, and it was all about like fantasy and medieval stuff. There was like a sorceress, a big villain, a big castle, huge armies, and the little underdog that was just trying to get a baby that was prophesied to end the reign of the big queen, the Dark Queen. Um, and it was really, really well done. I really enjoyed it. I think I have it on DVD lying around here somewhere. I really liked that film. And it came out in '88. And obviously, Ron Howard is currently doing like the press junket, the entire press circuit for Solo, which comes out in, I think, a week, if I'm not mistaken. Oh wow, is that already next week? Blimey. Seriously, time flies. And now May, I could have sworn, just started. We're already on the 17th. The month is going to be over soon. And it's like, time just flies, seriously. But yeah, so Ron Howard is doing the press junket for Solo at the moment. And I'm not sure if someone asked a question or it just came out, whatever. But I found the news online that Ron Howard mentioned during the junket for Solo that he is very, very interested in making a sequel to Willow. And that film is now, fuck, It's now almost 30 years. It is 30 years old. Jesus. Yeah, time flies. Um, yeah, it was 88. Blimey. Um, really like that film because it's really funny. Not necessarily something you associate with a fantasy film or like a film about knights in shining armor and dark queens and princesses and whatever and magic and wizards and sorcery and whatever. But the it's all about the relationship between Warwick Davis's character, who's kind of like I think he's a farmer or something, and he ends up finding this little baby called Laura Danan, and he somehow ends up with Val Kilmer, who's sort of a merc. He's not really a knight in shining armor, but they kind of team up by accident, and they both have their own agenda. So obviously, Warwick Davis is the actual hero because he actually wants to save this little baby, and the Dark Queen is after the little baby because it's been prophesied that the baby is going to destroy this queen, right? So she obviously wants all the babies destroyed, and she sends out her daughter, who's played by Joan Wally, and who I had the hugest crush on when I watched this film. Um, and so, of course, like everyone is like jumbling together by coincidence, and it's just that the relationship between Warwick Davis's character and Val Kilmer's character is just so hilarious and ridiculous, and it's just so entertaining. There are things in there you're just I can't believe they did that. I mean, they're basically bops. One of the coolest action sequences in the film is like you get a lot of fighting, like sword fighting and stuff, and Val Kilmer does his job really, really well. Obviously, that was 30 years ago. Um, but I think was that shortly before or after Top Gun? I can't actually remember what year Top Gun came out. That was the other big thing that I knew that Val Kilmer was in. Um, but there's this awesome action sequence where they're high up on a mountain and Val Kilmer's character has been taken hostage by the Dark Army. They're probably called something else, but I just call them the Dark Army so you know that they're the villains. Um, and he manages to escape with Warwick Davis and the baby. And like I said, they're high in the mountain, they're surrounded by snow. So they're just bobsledding down the entire mountain on a ginormous shield, and it is one of the craziest things that you've ever seen. And it's just I remember watching this in the cinema, and I was like, "This is so fucking awesome! I love it." And obviously the character interaction is great. So Ron Howard very interested in making a sequel. Hi Ron, I'm so with you. I really want to see a sequel. And he was telling a bit more in detail about this. Like, obviously, Ron Howard is the director of Solo. He jumped in there when reshoots had to be made. And Ron Howard is a very renowned director anyway. So if he wants to make something, I'm pretty sure that he will get it financed. So I keep my fingers crossed. And he was actually saying, like, giving a bit of detail about it as well. So in the sequel, it's going to be several years later, like probably like 20 years later. And the story is going to be about Elora Dan and the little baby from Willow. And Warwick Davis apparently mentioned that he would also love to come back. I mean, who wouldn't, right? It was a great film and I really loved it. I was so bummed when I heard that it didn't really do well at the box office and people didn't really take to it at all. And I was like, how can you not? It's a great film. It's kind of like Edge of Tomorrow or whatever it's called now. I think on home release it was called Live Die Repeat or some stupid thing like that. It's like never change the title of your film from cinematic because people will not know what the hell it is. But yeah, I call it Edge of Tomorrow because I watch it in the cinema because I give things a chance. And obviously it starred Emily Blunt and Tom Cruise. And the film was one of the best films I've seen that year. When was that? Was that 2016 or something like that? It was a few years ago. But it was a great action title. It was like Groundhog Day in a war zone, and Tom Cruise basically taking a piss, and it was so well done, and I loved it. And I found out later that it didn't do very well in the box office because no one bothered watching it, and I think it's probably because the title was a bit weird and all of that stuff. But see, that's what it is. It's like titles don't matter to me. What matters to me is either who's starring in it, who's directing it, or what it's about and what genre it is. And obviously, it has Emily Blunt in it, so I will watch it anyway. Tom Cruise is in it, who, no matter what I think of him potentially as a person, um, But I think he's a good actor. I like the films that he makes. They're always really entertaining. They're full of action. I love his Mission Impossible films. He's quite daring and he's out there and borderline crazy, but I kind of like that about him. So he's in that, so I'm gonna go watch it. Emily Blunt's in it, I'm gonna go watch it. It's about science fiction. It's a science fiction film. I'm gonna go watch it. And the way that it was marketed as well, what I knew from the trailer and stuff, that Emily Blunt's obviously mega fit, like she had muscle, like she trained like crazy. You see her introductory scene, she's doing some kind of yoga stuff on the ground, and she's kind of like holding herself up, her entire body flat, just by her arms. She's like doing push-ups, but nothing but her arms are touching the ground. It's just, I saw that. I was like bulging muscles. And I was like, how much she must have had to work out for that. I was like, whoa. Um, and the film itself is actually really good. So, oh my God. See, I went from Willow, Ron Howard, to Solo, to, excuse me, to Edge of Tomorrow. But that's kind of how I roll, right? But yeah, so Warwick Davis wants to come back, and I'd love to see this. I really hope that Ron Howard can get it off the ground. I would love to see a film like 20 years later, and it just how the world will have evolved. I'm pretty sure that I'm not going to get Val Kilmer and Joan Wally Kilmer back. She's still called Joan Wally Kilmer? Is she Joan Wally again because she's divorced from Val Kilmer? I don't know. Um, it, the original Willow was really hilarious entertainment. If you've never seen it, try and find it somewhere on DVD or Blu-ray. It's so worthwhile. If you like fantasy, I think you'll like it. It's very, very entertaining. I really love it, and I think it holds up really well as well. So there is that. There might potentially be a sequel for Willow. Now, there's another sequel news, so to speak, one that I'm not as excited about, and that is Zombieland 2. Now, the original Zombieland, I think, is really good. That was, when was that? 2009? Yeah, 2009 actually was the horror comedy. And it had Woody Harrelson in it, and Jesse Eisenberg, and Emma Stone. Back then, no one really knew who Emma Stone was, and now we do. Um, and there's also this great and hilarious cameo by Bill Murray. If you've never seen Zombieland, I think it's still on Netflix, if I'm not mistaken. So check it out. It's really good. But obviously, since then, we've had like zombie entertainment has just exploded. Like, look at The Walking Dead and all of that stuff. So it might be that we've reached some kind of saturation on that market. So bringing out Zombieland 2 in potentially next year would bring it in for the 10th anniversary of the original, which would be kind of cool. But then, do you really want to see a sequel 10 years down the line? I'm not sure. It kind of feels like they've missed the bus, you know. And apparently, the original cast could potentially feature, but all of this, nothing is really confirmed. I think the writers of the original Zombieland, Red Reese and Paul Wernick, they're obviously currently doing the press junket for Deadpool 2 because they wrote the script for Deadpool 2. So they wrote the original Zombieland and they would like to write a sequel for it. So it is their hope to make a sequel and to get the original cast back and stuff like, and to have that release for the 10th year anniversary of the original. But it'd be kind of cool because I really liked Zombieland. But whether that would work now that it's been 10 years in between, I mean, it will all depend on the script, really. I guess, Woody Harrelson might be up for it. Jesse Eisenberg probably as well. But if Emma Stone comes back, I mean, it'd be cool, but you never know. I like that it was quite quirky and different. Just the way that it starts when Jesse Eisenberg's voiceover is happening, and he's kind of explaining what's going on and how the world is, and that you should always hang out with a fat kid because when the zombies attack, you will always outrun the fat kid, and stuff. It's weird shit that sticks with you, doesn't it? So there's a potential for that, for the sequel there. But considering that previously Warnick and Reese, the writers, they shopped this idea around for a continuation of Zombieland, and they wanted to make a TV series out of it, which obviously would have been an interesting idea back then, But now, obviously, we have The Walking Dead, and there's iZombie and Z Nation, and like all these other zombie entertainment things. So they shot I think they shot a pilot. It was supposed to be um, done with Amazon, and Amazon passed on it. So that obviously is not filling me with a lot of confidence. So I don't know. It could happen. It could not happen. I think it really will depend on the script. It's also questionable if you would have an Academy Award winner like Emma Stone returning for something like that. Um, and now with those sequel news, there's also some very unhappy news. I think it happened. The news broke on Monday, obviously, that Margaret Kidder, star of Superman, she played Lois Lane. She died on Sunday at the age of 69, and that is just no age at all. I mean, 69, fucking hell, that is nothing. Seriously. Um, I think my dad's gonna be 69 this year, and it's like that's just way too young to go. It's ridiculous. But it's like when Carrie Fisher died, same thing. It's like it was too young, just too fucking young. But yeah, Margaret Kidder died. Unfortunately, no one really knows what the cause was. It's not been released, but R.I.P. Lois Lane. I grew up with her as Lois Lane, so she'll always be the Lois Lane. Even though I have to admit that Terry Hatcher did a really good job in the TV series. All right. On that happy note, I will have to talk to our farmhouse Merc to get the show back into the funny territory. Hopefully, see, I really kind of like this poster, but I really also like this poster. I didn't see it at the cinema when I went to see Deadpool 2 today, but I think it's because this is the IMAX version. And I like this whole thing with the unicorn and stuff. It's just fucking gorgeous. I haven't actually looked at it. So I'm wondering if that is supposed to be Domino, who she's awesome in the movie, by the way. And I think that's probably Cable, Colossus, and is that Negasonic Teenage Warhead, whatever her fucking name is. Sabrina the Teenage Witch, I think is what he called her in the movie. She's kind of cool. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. I'm trying to think about who else is in that film, really. Like a lot of people, obviously, but yeah, I don't know. I really really like this, but this is also kind of cool. She is so fucking awesome. Like seriously, it's not just that she looks fucking cool, but yeah. All right. Before I get ahead of myself, now I'm going to be talking about Deadpool 2. And before I start talking about Deadpool 2, I will obviously have to mention that I'm not a fan of Deadpool at all. When that film came out, what was it, like 2 years ago or something like that? I think it was 2016. That film came out, and I tend to watch pretty much everything, especially when it's an action movie. I like action movies. I mean, that's kind of why I became an actor. I like to pretend to shoot aliens that aren't there, or just like to like tumble down the slope and do some other physical bullshit. You know, it's action movies is why I became an actor, really. I like this whole physical stuff. So I will watch anything. And then I watched Deadpool. I mean, hello, I also watch Fast and Furious. You know, I really like action movies. And yeah, I watched Deadpool, and the first, if you remember, if you haven't watched Deadpool since it came out, I rewatched it yesterday because it's on Netflix. So if you're in the UK, which I assume most of you are, just load up Netflix and rewatch Deadpool in case you haven't seen that in a while, or if you've never seen the first one, in order for this one to make sort of sense, because they kind of give his backstory in the first one. But I think it's not as important as long as you know that Deadpool has some kind of mutant gene. Well, it's been forced into him because he was someone who was dying of cancer, and he then went via some experimental treatment, and they made him basically unkillable. There's something inside him that just regenerates his cells, so he can get stabbed in the brain. He takes it back out, and then everything is fine again. Or he dismembers himself, and he's like a worm. You know, it just grows back. Is it a worm? I'm thinking of like a salamander or something. They just have their limbs grow back, which is kind of cool. But that obviously also means that he's really hard to kill, if he's even killable at all. That's kind of like the backstory. And he has a girlfriend, and he looks a bit weird under the mask because the procedure did something to his skin, did something to his entire body. Um, so that's basically all you need. However, I think that you need to see the first one in order to understand like all the relationships between certain characters that are in the film, because obviously you have pretty much everyone from the first one show up again in the second one, so it does help. Um, Excuse me, I haven't seen the original Deadpool since it was in cinemas. I was not very enamored with it. So it was good to rewatch it. I don't think as badly of it now as I did after I went to see it at the cinema, because I had obviously had really good reviews, because it was like people enjoyed it. People loved the original Deadpool, and I was one of the few people who didn't. It was just not my kind of humor, I guess. It wasn't very well written, and I just didn't agree with it. There was a lot of action in there, even there kind of is, but it's kind of lackluster. It's really weird. There was like a lot of CGI in there that you you could have done it. It had been done differently. It would have been more appealing to me, which is how I go into Deadpool, to change things around to the better, in my opinion. Um, I will, however, say no matter what I think of Deadpool 1, the first 10, at least the first 10 minutes, like that whole intro on the freeway, that is fucking awesome. I am a huge fan of that. When obviously the film starts with that, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm so gonna love this movie. This is bonkers. It's amazing. Credit thing about it never gives names of directed by who, written some asshole, some whatever, in proper Deadpool. That was really cool. I enjoyed that. It was very tongue in cheek. You taking themselves too seriously, and I always the third act was just a fucking jumble. Not a fan. Um, Now with the second one, however, maybe my expectations were not very high. I really enjoyed Deadpool 2, and I'm not whatsoever a fan of the first one. And there are several reasons for this, which I will get into. I'm going to tell you right away. I don't even have my spoiler thing with me today, because I don't really want to spoil anything with Deadpool. So you're good. If you want to go and see it on the weekend, you can stay here, and I will tell you about Deadpool without spoiling anything. So let's just go into the synopsis first. So we have foul-mouthed mutant mercenary Wade Wilson, Deadpool. His real name's Wade Wilson. And he brings together a team of fellow mutant rogues to protect a young boy of supernatural abilities from the brutal, time-traveling mutant Cable, which is that guy with a finger in his ear, played by Josh Brolin. Now, I didn't know that Cable was a time traveler. And there's a weird scene in this film, basically the first time you see Cable. And you go, what the fuck's going on? And why are we doing this? And what's going on? It's just really bizarre. You see Cable in like a destroyed living room or something, in some destroyed apartment. And he picks up a teddy bear. Oh, a teddy bear. On his belt. If you've played the new God of War, you know how Kratos has Mimir's head on his side, and he constantly talks. Well, the teddy bear doesn't, but there you go. But that's what it reminded me of. So that was kind of cool. But I didn't know that he was a time traveler. So you see him standing in this living room apartment thingamajig, and it's been like a bomb hit it. It is totally. And then he does something on like a watch or something like that, and he goes, and then poof, and he's gone. I was like, okay, like if I didn't know that he was a time traveler, which I only knew because I read up on something, I would go, what the fuck was that scene supposed to tell me? Um, when that scene was there, I was literally thinking, you don't need it. You don't need it. How much know that he's from the future? you don't know corpses of some people and picked up a teddy bear. So it's like someone probably killed his family, or someone that was really close to him. And he picks up the teddy bear, so it was probably like the smaller thing was his child. And he is probably going for revenge. But it would be so much better if that is just kind of like told to you throughout the film, which it is. That comes up anyway. So when that scene is there, it's like while I was watching it, without even knowing where the film was going to go, I was like, you could cut that. You don't need that. Because all of a sudden it's like you're doing Deadpool this, Deadpool, blah, blah, blah. There's like a lot of shit happening. And then all of a sudden we cut Cable in the future, and you're like, I know there's Cable because I've seen the trailer. Otherwise I would go, who's that guy? Why are we cutting to Thanos? Oh, someone's watching. Oh, thank you, Corey Marvin. Thank you very much. In case you're worried about that, so stick around. Thank you for watching. I didn't know that actually comes up on my phone, but yay, phone! I'd high five my phone if that wouldn't mean it would topple over now. But yeah, so I thought it was really unimportant to have that scene there. It felt like a waste of time, and it kind of took me out of the situation I was in with Deadpool. I was like, why the fuck are we cutting over there? Like, I'm not interested in this guy at all. If you use it as a flashback, I think it would be more powerful. But that was just me. It just robbed the Cable Guy in the future. Cable Guy. That reminds me of a Jim Carrey film. Oh, did I just lose something? Let me just check whether we're still good guys. It looks like it's okay. Everything good? Alright, so we are still there. Okay. I had problems like this, funny enough, on the Infinity War broadcast. And yeah, that's really weird. Also, someone was commenting on it, and then everything went like kablooey. It was really weird. I'm not blaming Corey. May thank you very much for watching and for commenting. I do appreciate that. But yeah, I had the same issue there. It's like reconnecting, so I don't know what's going on there. But let's just see whether everything is still in sync. But it looks like we're fine. All right, cool. Anyway, so it's like you talk about Marvel, and then all of a sudden I have these tech issues. It's like weird. Um, so yeah, that was a bit weird. This whole introduction. Well, introduction. You're not really introducing him because first of all, he doesn't say anything because it'd be really weird if he was in a room alone, saying stuff, like speaking out loud when there's no one else present. I'm doing right now is like sitting in my room talking to my phone because no one wants to talk to me. But yeah, that was a bit weird, but it's just like a tiny little nitpick. Overall, I thought the film was really, really well done. I was very engaged. And one of the things why I think Deadpool 2 is so much better than Deadpool 1, not necessarily that you can actually compare them, because obviously Deadpool 1 is more like an origin story. You have to introduce the character, which in my experience actually makes for a better film because you're introducing someone, you're bringing something new to the world, which gives you a lot to deal with. Whereas the second one is like, this is a now established character that you have to keep the audience engaged with, which I think in a lot of scripts and a lot of films is a lot harder. But this was done really, really well. And one of the main reasons for this, I think, in my opinion, Deadpool 1 to Deadpool 2, because apparently there were some creative differences between Reynolds and Miller, who is the director. Miller, the director, not TJ Miller, the guy who plays Weasel or whatever, the guy who owns the bar. I can't remember. But they basically had to, Miller stepped away from Deadpool 2, even though he was quite keen to obviously make a sequel because the first one was quite successful, surprisingly. And then we have someone that is now, I'm adding him onto the list of people that if he is directing a film, I will definitely watch it. And this guy's name is David Leitch. That is, I'm just going to tell you, David Leitch is the person that killed John Wick's dog. or one of the people who killed John Wick's dog. He did he direct it or did he write it? I actually can't remember. Blah 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 blah. I can't remember. I think he directed the first John Wick, David Leitch, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm not gonna bet my life on it. But he's kind of responsible that John Wick lost his dog, and he was such a cute little puppy. And he famously, obviously, directed Atomic Blonde, which, if you've ever paid attention to my Twitter, or I think I would have probably mentioned it on the show as well, or if you used to watch my, if you used to listen to my weekly podcast that I was doing last year, I love Atomic Blonde. And I love it for a variety of different reasons, but one of the main things is the amazing action sequences. The stunts in there are fucking bonkers. I mean, if you've never seen Atomic Blonde, put it on your list because it's absolutely amazing. One of the things that's in there is, obviously, it stars Charlize Theron, if you didn't know, as kind of like a spy, secret agent kind of a thing. And she's very hands-on and she's very physical. And there's, I think, was it like a minute or something, or 2 minutes or something, there's like a stunt sequence when Charlize's character goes down a staircase and she has to basically get rid of bad guys left, right, and center while she's descending the stairs. And it's brutal and it's physical and it's awesome and it's crazy and it's done in one fucking shot. And it's wicked. There's several great action sequences, long action sequences, great stunts, physical tricks. Not really a CGI person, that David Leitch, and that's one of the things I love about him. He's very old school in it. Well, he has some kind of a background as a stunt performer or something like that. So that is what he goes back to, and you can immediately tell because Deadpool 2 is so much more actiony and physical action in the first Deadpool, but the second one is all about elongated fight scene. I'm losing connection again. Something is not right. Sorry, guys. Seriously, you can't talk about superhero shows without there being tech issues. I'm not entirely sure what's going on. Let's see what's happening. Sorry about that. Tech issues left, right, and center. Sorry about that. I just want to make sure that everything is still synced up. Just want to make sure. Oh, see, I don't think it is. Oh, we might be okay now. All right. Keep your fingers crossed. Sorry about that. I'm not sure what the hell is going on, but obviously I'm on Wi-Fi. Well, I'm not going to bore you with any of the stupid technical stuff. Yay for internet and first world problems. What was I talking about? I was talking about how amazing David Leitch is. So all the stunts just tell are physical stunts. There's not a lot of like CGI stuff. I mean, later on there's a fight between Colossus's back from the first one. And another character, which I'm not going to tell you who it is because it's a potential. Well, I guess it's a big spoiler, so I'm not gonna mention who that is. And even Deadpool is like, cue the big CGI fight, and then those two guys are going at it. Whereas a lot of the other fights are very are proper physical fights. There's not a lot of spectacular CGI bullshit happening there. And that's one of the things I really like. When you can tell, it's like people have been training left, right, and center for this for months and months on end because these sequences are so long and it involves so many different characters. But let me tell you about some of the other characters in there. So obviously the synopsis is kind of like Deadpool is getting a bunch of other people together to save this little kid. And in case you didn't know who that little kid is, if you know Taika Waititi, you probably have heard of Hunt of the Wilder People, which was my 2016. I think it was 26. Time flies, seriously. It can't have been last year. No, it was the year before. It must have been 2016. My favorite film of 2016 was Hunt for the Wilder People, which is like a tiny New Zealand film directed by Taika Waititi, and you probably know who Taika Waititi is by now because obviously he's done previous the latest Thor film, Thor Ragnarok, which was spectacular and it's a huge success and all of that. You know, Taika Waititi has a really weird sense of humor, and that's what I like about him. And Hunt for the Wilder People is just so New Zealand, so Kiwi, so awesome and different and secluded, but wicked. And there's a little boy starring in that. His name is, what is it, Julian Dennison. His name's Julian Dennison. He was basically the lead in Hunt for the Wilder People. He was wicked. He was in that film with Sam Neill. And he held his own. He was amazing. It was such a memorable performance. I was like, wow, this guy is going to go to something big. And next thing you know, I saw him in the trailer for Deadpool 2. I was like, wait a minute, that's the little kid from Hunt for the Wilder People. He he keeps his New Zealand accent in Deadpool 2, which is kind of awesome because everyone's quite American. And he's just like, I can't even do a Kiwi accent, but you know how cute and adorable they sound. And he plays this little kid who what he's called Fire Fist or something, and he's kind of the slightly problematic kid because he grows up in a foster home, and of course people are not necessarily very nice to you while you're in a foster home. So he's the problematic child in this, and Deadpool is kind of trying to help him and save him and all of that stuff. And Cable, Josh Brolin's character, is basically there to kill him, and you're like, where do time cop just came from the future to kill the little kid. What's the little kid gonna do later on? Blah blah blah. I'm not gonna give too much away from that because that's in the trailer. But he's really good. He basically plays the same character he played in Hunt for the Wilder People. He kind of plays himself, but this time he's got fiery fists. That's it. And he does it really well. He has really good comedic time work that. I loved his character in that. I really do hope that he gets to do some other stuff as well, just so we can see whether he can actually do other stuff, which would be quite nice. But I really enjoyed his character. It's actually quite a big role. And of course we have oh no, I'm blanking on her name. That is so bad. Morena Baccarin, the hot girlfriend from the first one, of course, is back. We have DJ Miller's back as Weasel. Obviously, Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. And here, Morena Baccarin. There we go. Julian Dennison. Zazie Beetz. She is Domino. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing her name right. Call me. She's awesome. She plays Domino, and I was like, I don't know what kind of special power she has. So when he's trying to get the kid out from whatever shit he's in, I put together like a superhero squad. But he doesn't want the X-Men, so he wants his own little thing. So he holds auditions for his superhero squad, and that's hilarious. I'm not going to tell you who shows up or what their superpowers are, because there were a lot of surprises and cameos coming in there. And it's just hilarious how he puts his squad together and what they do, and how they go about doing it. It's just so fucking fantastic. You'll know exactly what I mean once you've seen the movie, because they obviously they go in like helicopter or a plane or something, and they just try and parachute down and try to save this kid. And what happens after is just some of the most hilarious shit that I've ever seen. Like, this entire film, there's so much hilarious crap that's happening. Oh, we're already at 40 minutes. Okay. It's just amazing because there are certain bits that happen in the film where you're like, how are you going to resolve that? What are you going to do with this? This makes no fucking sense. What? You can't work with this. And then something happens in the film. They put something in the script and you're just like, that is brilliant. I didn't see that coming, but that is so fucking, oh my God. And by the way, this film is very bloody, very gory. I think even worse than the first one. If you have a problem with that, I think this might not be the film for you. It's not like necessarily Kill Bill, gushing blood kind of a thing. It's not a Tarantino movie, but it comes just short. So there are limbs flying and heads flying, and there's like all kinds of other stuff that happens. So if you're a bit squeamish, I don't think this film will work for you. But it's Deadpool is still Deadpool. You know, he has his weird sense of humor, which is kind of like the humor of a 10-year-old boy, you know, everything's a dick joke and a fart joke and stuff. And that's one of the things that I really didn't agree with, that didn't agree with me in the first one. It was just too infantile. That humor was so infantile and childish that I was like, you need to counterbalance that with something. And while that humor still exists, it's not as infantile as it was in the first one, even though those jokes still do exist. But the way that they're executed, I think, is done in a more, I don't really want to say in a more adult manner because that makes fucking no fucking sense, but it's done in a way that actually works. Like if you just roll your eyes at big jokes and fart jokes and vomit jokes like I do, Deadpool wouldn't necessarily be something for me. But the way that it's done in the second one just really works, and you kind of forgive some of the more cruder, stupid stuff because you get fucking amazing action sequences and chase sequences and just ridiculous stuff, great written dialogue that people deliver really, really well. I mean, there's things in there like they, obviously it's Deadpool, so they're breaking the fourth wall all the fucking time, which is fun. Then there's a lot of anecdotes in there. There's a lot of like stabs at other things, like they're stabbing at DC films, at Marvel films, at other things like Fox, you know, with the X-Men, obviously. Um, there's a lot of shit in there that is just not necessarily laugh out loud funny, but it will make you chuckle. It's like, oh, and now he just referenced this and he referenced that, and now we're cutting away to something that Deadpool can't see, but we as the audience see, and it's fucking hilarious. And I'm not going to tell you what it is because it'd be a fucking spoiler. Um, so everything is just executed in such an entertaining way, and I think this is all due to not just the script, which I think has been streamlined a lot more than the first one, because the first one didn't really have much of a story. It was like he got cancer, he got fucked up by Francis, and then it was all about finding Francis, and it was just ridiculous. And the thing with like the carrier, like the aircraft carrier at the end, and just everything going kablooey and stuff. It was like that action sequence wasn't much of an action sequence. It wasn't fun to watch. It wasn't like, whoa, this is awesome. Whereas in this Deadpool, there are several action sequences where you're like, whoa, that must have taken months to do this. This looks so odd. There's so much shit happening that I can't watch it all. I actually think I have to go watch this again. I actually think I will watch this again. I would never have thought that I was going to say that I'm going to watch a Deadpool film again. I mean, of course, I've rewatched the previous one, but only because the fucking sequel just came out. So there's a lot of great action, and I think this is all down to David Leitch, who is now on my list of directors. The film, I will go and fucking see this, David. Seriously, man. Awesome. Absolutely awesome. John Wick was great. John Wick 2 was great. And Atomic Blonde was fucking fantastic. I love your action sequences. I love all the choreography and how elaborate stuff is. Like all of this stuff, once you've seen it, you're gonna go, they must have trained months and months for this. And imagine how often they had to shoot it with like all the camera angles and stuff like that. And I was just like, the amount of work that goes into this 2-minute action sequence, and a lot of the other action sequences are obviously Domino. That's how I started talking about this. Domino, her superpower is not a superpower. No, it, you know, that kind of thing. And she is fucking lucky, and it happened. That brings a lot of the humor into the film as well, because there's some outlandish bullshit that happens to her because she's so fucking lucky, and it's just ridiculous. But you just go, like, yeah, fucking man, that's her superpower. She's lucky. That's just what happens, right? It is so fucking awesome, and the way that she does it, is it's just really, really good. I really, really enjoy it. Her character, and see, one of the things. Sorry, bear with me a second. One of the things that kind of annoyed me, um, was that it was quite sexist, and obviously, I mean, that kind of makes sense to a certain, but might not be the right word. It's not really properly representing a lot of things, and the second one is quite kind of when it comes to that. I don't want to misuse the word woke, but it Deadpool himself, he kind of goes, have you ever thought, like, how can you be okay being an ex? I think that's in the trailer as well. So it kind of, not just that it's aware of it, it actually mentions it in dialogue, in film. It's part, that everything is quite misogynistic and sexist. And considering that the film is that aware of it, and it's kind of like, we're not being called the X-Men, we're really bad today. I don't know what's going on. Oh, bollocks. I'm so sorry about this, guys. Let me just check. It's never been this bad. Oh, and now it's not working. All right, I'll just keep talking to you guys. So I thought that Domino was fantastic. I really enjoyed her character. She was, with her super ability, that was actually really hilarious. I loved all the action sequences. But regarding the sexism, that before I got so rudely interrupted by my rubbish internet, which is ridiculous. Just bear with me a second. I do again, because I had the problem with Infinity War that when I was looking at the recording, the audio, and then my voice, like, the lips were moving, and I was saying stuff, and the lips weren't moving. I think I'm having the same problem again. Oh boy. Nothing but tech issues. Isn't it lovely? First world problems. I don't understand what the problem is with it. I really don't. Yeah, everything is buggered now. Oh boy. Let's just see what happens. Sorry about that. I do hope it's okay. So in regards to the potential sexism issue, is like they're bringing it up, and that's why I want to talk about it, because it wasn't that evident to me, but that's one of the things why I didn't like the first one as much, because there was not a lot of women characters in the film. You basically had the girlfriend, which is like the atypical thing, and I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. And I mean, Maureen O'Karen did a good job with what she was given. And obviously she's hot and sexy and stuff, which was apparently the entire job. But we had Gina Carano was playing one of the bad guys, which was kind of nice. It's like you had the main bad guy was a guy, and then you had Gina Carano kind of like playing his psychic. Unfortunately, Gina Carano's not that great of an actress. Not yet. I do hope so. She will improve. She's quite bland. She could have been anyone, and I thought that was quite a bit of a waste. Not very memorable character. And the most memorable female character in the first one was Negasonic Teenage Warhead, who is played by Brianna Hildebrand. And she has a really cool look. I really love it. It's like we almost have similar hair, except hers is black, and she's fucking awesome. But I think she was the most memorable character for me in the first one. Let me just quickly check this again. Oh, I think we're all buggered now. Sorry, guys. I think I might have to restart. I'm not sure. Okay, sorry. Yeah, I will have to restart and pick this up, because I think I won't be able to use this at all after. Okay, let's see if we're in sync. Hi, I'm Mel. Am I in sync or what? Okay, that seems to be working. I don't know. Sorry. I'm working with what I've got. Okay, so regarding that, I thought that Negasonic Teenage Warhead was the best female character we had in the first one. So I was happy to see, obviously, she's back for the second one. And they're kind of mentioning that as well, as like, X-Men. Like, I'm regurgitating everything that I've been saying. It's like stupid tech issues, fucking hell. and how he's talking about is like, we're not going to be the X-Men, we're going to be X-Force, right? Because we're gender neutral kind of a thing, which I think is really great, considering it's coming from such a weird character who's a bit infantile and a bit, I think, sexist and misogynistic, but also kind of aware of that. And it's like, I'm not sure if he's just being tongue in cheek. I haven't really made up my mind about Deadpool. Um, but considering the film is aware of it, the writers are aware of it, the director is aware of it, I was really, really disappointed that there were not more female characters in this. Now, obviously, we've got Domino, and she is fucking awesome. Don't get me wrong there. It's not just because she's hot and sexy and I have a bit of a crush on her, but she, as a character, she's really cool, even though obviously she's not very developed and stuff like that. The other female character we have is obviously Blind Al. In the start, in the credits, in the intro credits, not in the back credits. The cinematography is done by Blind Al. That's one of the things that really stuck with me, and I thought that was really cool. Yeah, they're regurgitating what they did at the introduction or the start of the first one, which was really cool, with like the different angles and the slow motion and stuff. And they're doing again that whole thing about, let me catch you up on the last 6 weeks or something. So they're using the same structure, which could be laziness, but it's also like we're trying to be coherent with what we've done previously. So it kind of works. And that's kind of like how they do the story anyway. So I didn't have a problem with that. However, how they did that, it's like something happens with Deadpool, like in the first minute, and you're like, what the heck? And he's kind of blowing himself up. It's not a spoiler. I shit you not, this happens in the first minute of the film. And he's like, let me catch you up with how I got here. And because of that, you obviously know exactly what will happen to a certain character that is close to Deadpool, which I thought was a bit of a letdown, but it was a catalyst for the, a character has to, something happens to a character, so it works as a catalyst for the main character. And this is something that happens all the fucking time, especially to female characters, to help being the catalyst for a male character story, which I thought was really annoying. And considering how woke Deadpool 2 is trying to be, and how it's commenting on certain situations and stuff, I was very disappointed by that execution. And I thought it was a bit of laziness of not being able to think of anything else. However, I'm not sure if this might potentially be because of the source material, whatever it is. I don't know if, is there even source material? I assume this actually, like, it's a comic book, right? I have no idea what this is actually based on. I do think it's a comic book. Must be, right? All of the comic book heroes are based on comic books. So I have no idea about the source material. So maybe this actually did happen in the comics. I've got no bloody clue. I thought in the film, and as film structure, it was a bit lazy, because this happens all the fucking time. It's like 99% of films that do this. And I was like, come on, at least you could have done better. But I like that they were using the same structure again. And back to the sexism bit, as I was saying, Negasonic Teenage Warhead was kind of like my favorite. This time around, we kind of like got rid of Gina Carano, obviously. We got Domino out of it on the good side, so to speak. And she's fucking awesome, and I love it. And I hope she comes back if there is another sequel. And I assume Deadpool 2 will do really well, and there will be another sequel. But one of the things, the entire film, I was like, I really want to see Negasonic Teenage Warhead. And I hate the name of this character, because it is so fucking stupid. Like, who came up with that? It's like, ugh. But Brianna is, what's her name again? Brianna Hildebrand. I want to call her Henderson. Brianna Hildebrand is really well cast. She's very memorable. She's really awesome, I think, with as little screen presence as she gets. So the entire film, I was like, bring her back. I want more. And I was like, why do I care so much about a teenage character? And I was like, do you know why? Because she is the only female character we had in a previous film. That's why I was so fucking attached to her. And that wasn't even obvious to me. So that I thought was quite interesting. And so I really liked it when she was coming back. I thought that was really fucking cool. I also liked Cable. Like, Josh Brolin is fucking amazing as Cable. Um, and yeah, Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool is great as well. Great action sequences. I really, really enjoyed this film. I was really surprised by how much I enjoyed it. And I think you should all go and see it because it's a lot of fun. There's some interesting cameos in this as well. Oh, hang on a second. But yeah, Deadpool was absolutely fantastic. Really, really loved it. You have to basically watch it just for Ryan Reynolds' performance again. This time it's not as immature as it was in the previous one. And what's her name? Zazie Beetz. She is really fucking amazing as Domino. And you get several cameos. I don't really want to count them out because I think it depends on what you would consider a cameo. But when he basically puts his X-Force together, there's like several people there where you're like, wait a minute, that guy and this person and blah, 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 blah. And what happens to them is also really fucking fantastic. And then there is a cameo where you're like, are they going to have this or are they not going to have it? And then it happens. It's like a split second thing where you see someone really, really famous and really, really memorable. And you're like, what's it? Was that or was that not? And you're not entirely sure. But I think in the end credits, it comes back up. Like they show you things like hand-drawn things. It's like this was Ryan Reynolds and this was whomever, and then this person comes up, this character comes up, and it actually is the person that I thought it was going to be, and that I thought was a really cool cameo. I'm not going to give this away, but there's a character in X-Force where you're like, I wonder, is that going to be someone special? And it was. So that was really cool. Other than that, I would say it's an improvement over the first. Really enjoyed it. Great one-liners, a lot of like breaking the fourth wall again, but with a lot of like pop cultural references, which is something that I really enjoy. If you've seen my review of Ready Player One with like all the pop cultural references in there, and I was like, oh my god, there's so much happening. This is fucking amazing. So that was really cool. Loved it. They have this whole thing about family and family is the F word and stuff like that. And what does he always goes X-Force and why does Deadpool say maximum effort? Is that kind of like his catchphrase? Because that happens all the time, and I'm like, I wasn't aware of this in the first one as much. I've watched it yesterday, and I was like, I'm not sure. Fucking hell, we're running over. The music is really good. Soundtrack is sort of on Spotify. The score is on Spotify, and some awesome users have put together like the songs to create like a Deadpool a soundtrack playlist. Check it out. It's really cool. One of my favorite songs is playing over the credits. It shares If I Could Turn Back Time, which obviously makes sense because Cable is like a time traveler. It's fucking amazing. And please, again, this is a comic book film. It's not new. Comic books films have been around, what, like 10 years? Stay till after the credits, people. Seriously, it's not new. This isn't the first or second or third comic book film to ever grace our screens. This is like the fifth gazillion, okay? Stay till after the credits. The first credit came up. We weren't even going to black or anything. People got up, walked out, literally not just down the stairs, they walked out and exited the screening. And then something came on and I was like, you fuckers just so missed this. And it was something that I think is a setup for potentially the next one. So you really fucking missed out just because what? You couldn't hold it for a minute? What? And then obviously halfway down the credits, something else happens. And I have to tell you right from the get-go, was it two? I think there were two scenes. So there's one, yeah. So there's one immediately after the film ends, and then there's another one about halfway down the credits, something like that. At the very end, there's nothing, and I was really disappointed because I always sit till the very fucking end because this shit happens all the fucking time. And literally, like, the film stopped. People got their asses out of the seats, and we're gonna start walking out. And then the scene started, and they're like, oh, there's something else there. But instead of sitting their fucking asses back down, They're just standing there blocking the screen for everyone. So I was like, I'm literally like, sit the fuck down and get the fuck out. And it's like all of a sudden seats were in asses, right? And I could actually see what's going on. So come on, people, just be courteous, all right? It's like, even if there's no scene playing, if it's literally just the fucking credits, get your ass out of the cinema quickly. Don't stand and linger and have a fucking poetic conversation about fucking philosophy or what the fuck ever it is that's going through your mind. Fucking exit, so you're not blocking the screen for people that might want to read the credits. Some people might do, the absolute minority is interested in the credits, but sometimes it's like, I've seen this person before, I need to figure out who this person is. And just as the character name comes up, some fucker stands up and his fucking fat ass is blocking you from reading who it is. Of course, there's IMDb, but still. Sometimes it's just easier to read it there. And one of the other things is when it's not a character, but when it's, let's say, you're interested in one of the songs, or you're interested in whatever else you wanted to check in the credits, and some stupid ass fuck is just blocking it with his big fat ass because he can't get out of the cinema on time. It's like, exit swiftly or sit the fuck down and pay some respect. Also, there's a lot of people involved in cinema and films. Pay some respect. You know, what the fuck is wrong with you? But fair enough, once it goes black and the list starts scrolling, you may leave. Seriously. But if you get up while the person is just saying the end and you're already like half your ass cheek is out of your fucking seat, and then you're like, oh shit, there's more. And you just stand there like a deer in headlights going like, oh, I wonder what that is. And everyone behind you can't fucking see shit. Really? Are you that unaware of your surroundings? I really want to fucking bitch slap you every single fucking time. And that happened to me today. Two stupid ass fuckers, 2 rows down from me. They wanted to leave as soon as the film was over, and then obviously Deadpool immediately jumps into a quick post-credit scene. Or it's not even a post-credit scene, post-end scene, whatever, an additional scene. And they're like, wow, okay. And I literally had to yell at them. I had to go like, sit the fuck down and get the fuck out. And I was like, ooh, I'm so sorry, but still staring. It's like, would they stop breathing if you didn't tell them? It's like, remember to breathe, it's all good. So yeah, that was a bit annoying. I've been rambling about this forever. I do apologize about the fucking technical issues. Hell knows what was going on there. Go see Deadpool. If you like Deadpool 1, I think you'll like Deadpool 2. If you didn't like Deadpool 1, I think you might still like Deadpool 2. If you like action films, if you like really cool stunts and stuff, it is really, really good. There's that Deadpool is sharing the screen with, which I really enjoyed, because I think he's best when he has banter between himself and other characters. We finally have a female character that has a bit more screen time. Not much, unfortunately, because she only comes in, I think, about halfway through the film, which is a bit annoying. And like I said, it doesn't have much screen. I think Domino actually has more screen time. But together, they are sort of, you know, we're on a good way of representing like some female characters in there. It'd be great if we got more out of this. But overall, great one-liners, I think. The script worked really, really well. I really did enjoy it, even though I think there are bits in the middle where the pacing stops a bit and it definitely deteriorates a tiny bit. But overall, I really enjoyed it, and I thought that Julian Dennison did a really good job in an American movie. He's a little kid, and it's just very meta. It's very breaking the fourth wall, as the first one has done, but less so with crude, infantile, childish jokes and stuff, but more with, I think, stuff that you can actually appreciate even when you're not a 12-year-old boy. So I really enjoyed it. I wanted to say it's not as good as Infinity War, but well, Infinity War is entirely different. Deadpool is just fun. It's really fun. I think this is probably just didn't achieve that. And I think that will probably have to do with that. It just didn't have the right director. I think if David Leitch had done the first one, I would have probably. It's definitely a great film. I really enjoyed it. It's great, stupid entertainment. Some still crude stuff, some sexist stuff, but not as much as in the first one. So it's like Deadpool 2 is the more adult version. And I don't mean that in an R-rated sense. I mean the more evolved version of Deadpool. So I actually can't wait to see the next one. I'm actually really excited. I do hope a third one because while I didn't like the first one, I really enjoyed the second one. There's a lot of really good stuff in there. Um, and I want to see more of these side characters. And it's kind of like Deadpool 2 is like the Fast of two films. It's like it's all about the family, you know, the F word as he calls it. You have like really nice. I like fantastic, yeah, so that's a bit weird, but yeah, Domino was fantastic, and I loved yeah. I'm gonna say this again. Negasonic Teenage Warhead, stupid ass fucking name, and even Deadpool says so, and I can't believe that me and Deadpool are on the same side on something. But yeah, I love her character though. So check out Deadpool. Even if you didn't like the first Deadpool, I think there's a lot to like in Deadpool 2. So just give it a chance. Maybe lower your expectations. Because obviously I have really good high expectations for the first one because everyone like it was the coolest thing since sliced bread, which unfortunately it wasn't. The second one's actually quite decent. I had a lot of fun with it. It's a great popcorn flick. And yeah, the action sequences are just like the first 10 minutes is trying to sort of do something similar than the first one did, and the first 10 minutes of the first Deadpool fucking fantastic. I don't think that this Deadpool comes close, but it's close enough. You know, there's a lot of stuff to see, and I think there's actually so much to see and hear because there's so much stuff that they just throw away lines left, right, and center that you will have to go and see it twice. I would watch Deadpool 2. I would go like next week, just watch it again, and I think that's more than I could ever say of the first one, or probably of a lot of films. So it's a ginormous thumbs up from me for Deadpool 2. Now, obviously, I've been talking about fucking Deadpool for forever. I do apologize. The tech issues didn't help. So on next week's show, I will be talking about Party for Melissa McCarthy and the book club as well. So go and check out that one, Deadpool 2. I think you'll like it, okay? Sorry again about the tech issue. Hopefully next time. I'm wondering if it is when people comment on things. I'm not saying, Corey, that's your problem. Like, seriously, I'm not saying that that's your fault. But, I mean, I'm obviously doing this with my phone, so maybe it's just, I don't know. I'm going to be sorting this out. If anyone has any kind of, like, tips for how... yeah, so if you follow me on Twitter, it's Melanie_Ratlov. Or it's easier, just type it in tweets, and there's even a Twitter account for that one. So just follow me with that. Just to show it's like tech issues again, so there we go. I will hopefully see you next Thursday with less tech issues. Go and check out Deadpool 2. Have a good one.